I think I was born unwanted. Not because I decided that, but because my mother reminded me of it every single day. She didn't always say it outright when I was little, but I could feel it. And then, when I was 6, she finally said it out loud. She was in the kitchen, slicing bread. She didn't even look at me when she said, "You never deserve to be born." I didn't understand what it meant at the time, but I felt something heavy drop inside me. My father left when I was 2. My mother always said it was my fault. I had you, got fat, my health went to hell, so he ran off with someone younger, she'd tell me. And I believed her. Outside, she almost never called me her daughter. If someone asked, she'd shrug and say, "My niece. She helps me around the house." I'd stand there in silence, my throat tight. I knew that if I said anything, she'd explode later. She hated everything about me. The way I breathed. The way I walked. How I set a cup down on the table. She loved humiliating me in front of others. Once, our neighbor came by, and my mom pointed at me and said, "This thing ruined my life. She can't even make a decent cup of tea." When I was 11, I got sick, fever, chills, my head spinning. She had a date that night. I whispered, "Mom, I can't go to the store today." Her face turned to stone. She yanked the blanket off me, grabbed me by the hair and hissed, "Oh, so you're doing this on purpose, huh? So I can't go out? So I can stay stuck here with you?" I tried to pull away, but she shoved me to the floor. She whipped me with a belt, screaming that I was nothing to her. After that, I thought maybe if I could just be useful, she'd change. When I turned 12, she said. Then the tears came, but not because she was gone. I cried because I didn't know what came next. My life had always revolved around her, even if it was a life built on humiliation. That night I came home to an empty house. I stood there in the hallway, holding my keys, listening to the silence. No shouting. No orders. No insults. The silence felt heavy, but also strangely light. I went to bed and slept. For the first time in years, I didn't dream about being hit. At the funeral, there were faces I'd never seen before. And then, there was him. A tall man in his 50s with tired eyes. He walked over and said my name, "I'm your father." I almost laughed. "My father's been dead to me for 20 years, I replied. But he didn't leave. We sat on a bench outside the church. He told me he had been keeping an eye on my life, that he sent my mother money every month for me, for school, even a large sum for college. I scoffed. "Sure you did. And she spent it all on herself while I was scrubbing floors for bread." He showed me transfers on his phone. Years of them. My throat tightened. She had lied to me all along. "Why didn't you take me away?" I asked. He looked down. I tried. She wouldn't let me. "I didn't want to drag you through court. And letting me live with her was better?" I snapped and walked away. For a month, I lived in silence. No yelling. No demands. I started to think. Sometimes I'd wait for her voice, but it never came. He kept writing. I ignored him, then finally agreed to meet. His house was warm, full of light. His wife, Marina, smiled at me like I mattered. They showed me a year later, my life looked nothing like it used to. I was living with my father and Marina full-time. At first, it felt strange, like I was a guest in someone else's home, but slowly, I began to believe I belonged there. Marina treated me with a kind of patience I'd never experienced. She taught me simple things no one had bothered to teach me before: how to budget, how to cook meals that weren't just instant noodles, how to plan for the future. My half-sisters became my closest friends. We'd stay up late watching movies, laughing about things that once would have felt alien to me. I sold my mother's old house and, with Marina's help, invested the money so I would always have something to fall back on. My father paid for me to finally get my high school diploma, and when I held it in my hands, I cried, not because it was a piece of paper, but because it was proof that I could finish something. He also paid for my therapy, and for the first time, I started unpacking the years of damage my mother had done. I learned that my mistrust of people, my inability to imagine a healthy relationship, my fear of having children, all of it was rooted in the life she built for me. And while part of me felt relief to be free, another part felt lost. My whole life, someone else told me what to do, what to think, how to feel. Now, I had to make those choices myself. Some nights, I would wake up with her voice in my head, whispering the same cruel words, "You never deserved to be born." But there was another voice now, my own, telling me she was wrong. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive my father, and I will never forgive her, but I am finally starting to believe that I have a future. And deep down, I still know the truth. The best thing that ever happened to me was the day my mother died.